All right. Got my brother on the platform with us to have this beautiful conversation, man. Want to say every time I done seen this brother, man, always been sharp, always driving the best of the best. I got to give it to my brother. Introduce yourself. Let us know who you are, man.
Man, Elijah, I appreciate it, man. My name is Hearn, Remnant member. Glad to be on this soft spoken episode.
Yeah, no problem, man. Glad to have you, man. So I want to start off with the man who taught you the art of presentation.
You
Good.
know what? Okay, I'm gonna have to break it down then. I was an actor, as a teenager, and so I did like three movies, and so from there I always had the ability to prepare and to know how to get it in front of an audience and speak. That's something that I never brought into the remnant before. But
Mm.
because the remnant is always bigger than my past life or anything, any credentials or anything that I have. But since you brought it up, that is part of my past, and so that's groomed me to be able to know how to speak in front of an audience and captivate an audience. So that's what it is.
Yeah, that's a powerful trait to have. So what is the primary and captivating an audience? You know what I'm saying? What do you have to have? What is those ingredients you need?
Well, you always have to be practicing.
Hmm.
Um, and so, I read a book when I was younger called The Actor Prepares. And I read that book around about 14 years old. And so it talks a lot about the truthfulness in it. And when you get on the stage or when you get in front of a camera, the idea is to imitate life and to
Mm.
imitate reality. And it talked about how to utilize my past experiences to match whatever character that I'm going through. So what I'm saying is basically, to be clear, is let's say I have a character that I'm supposed to portray and is dealt with, uh, let's say just some imaginary situation, a house burning down. Now, I
Mm.
personally never had my house burned down before, but I would match that to me, for instance, losing a bike or something like that, having a bike taken away. So I'll match the pain, I will match it.
Yeah,
And then from there, I can be able to match that experience of, but it's real to my life, and then it can be real to the audience's life, so that whole being able to match like with like. So that
I see that.
idea of practicing and researching and that made me comfortable in front of audiences and to captivate them. I know that I have to be have a level of truthfulness and honesty in what I'm doing, and that is
Hmm.
captivating.
Yeah, because it got to be authentic. It got to look like, okay, I can.
Yeah.
That's why I said because even when I see you, I'm like, okay, Sai look like what he's portraying. You know what I mean? And it's always big
Oh,
like that.
definitely.
So what was the upbringing like for you, man? Was it both families, mother and father in your life? Who really gave you the game on life, man? Who taught you them lessons?
Okay, so I grew up in Inglewood, California. That's where I
Hmm.
grew up. And I had my mom and my dad with me, and I had my two brothers and my sister. Um, my father, my original father, my biological father was not, he was there as a baby, but I grew up with another man named Joseph Bryan. He was an older guy from Chicago, but he was always there in my life. He was an entrepreneur. And then, I had my mother. And so, I grew up in that type of household, but I was always an adventurous child. I always stayed outside. And I wasn't a bad child, but I would say I was, into things. I was
Hmm.
always into things, always a boy's and wanting to become a man's man. So that was my upbringing. I also wanted to become an actor. Funny story is I got in trouble when I was about 14. Um, and I got put on probation, and I got put on a year probation. Um, I had brought some things that I wasn't supposed to have in the school, and it was in about the ninth grade, and followed that thing all the way to the office. Principal found it in the bag, and got put on probation. Now, when I was put on probation, I got on a 1 year punishment by my mother,
Hmm.
and so when I'm on this 1 year punishment, I had to come home and I would just be in my room by myself. Um, and I would just make up things, put a hanger on the door and play basketball. But then, and then at that point, I started questioning things.
Yeah.
And so it was in that point that I finally read a book. We had a library in my closet. I never even looked at the library. And we had encyclopedias at the time. This is like I would say the 90s. And so, because I'm an older guy. I started reading. I read the autobiography of Malcolm X. We had that on the shelf. That was a very important book to read. And then at that point, I started asking myself, what do you want to do in life? My upbringing, like I said, I was raised Christian.
Hmm.
So I always had God with me throughout. But I was more out there with it. I would
Yeah.
have Egyptian, the black Egyptians, all on my
Yeah. Yeah.
wall. My mother would take that down. I read Elijah Muhammad,
Hmm.
thinking about the black man, the message to the black man, you know. And then, but it was at that point that I said I want to be an actor, and then so I started to study, and then that led to that road. But I did get into things. I was in the street. I did get into things, but I always had God with me, and always had a goal with me, and I actually became a actor, and I got an agent, and I started doing things up until I was 18.
Hmm.
So that was a very pivotal point because in some points I had asked God for roles and then walked out of the audition and came back and got the role. So I
Right.
knew God was a formidable thing in my life. So
Hmm.
so that was pretty much my upbringing, having God in my life and being able to manifest as a young man. Things got different. I don't want to continue, but things did get different as an adult. Things got a little more different. I had God with me. I wasn't going to church, and I wasn't, I was questioning, the Christian thing, and I just started moving away from it. But I still had God with me. So I was basically a seeker at that point,
Yeah.
seeker of truth.
Hmm. Yeah, that's
Hmm.
powerful. So in that so what information before you came into the remnant, what information was you more so like what would be the seeker's lifestyle?
Okay, you know what? So I was all, even from a young teenager, I was reading Greek mythology, Aristotle, I was always, Greek philosophy, stuff like that. I was heavy into that type of information. And then, I started getting into the black consciousness,
Hmm.
around 2010, Hidden Colors, and stuff like that. So I was heavily into black consciousness. But then something happened. I got wind of a guy named Professor Gabriel Yibo, and he had came up with this. He was blessed with this equation called God Almighty's Grand Unified Theorem, Gij,
Hmm.
comma J equals zero. So coming into the remnant, I have been blessed with this revelation of what God is, and through this equation, mathematics, physics, and it was something that I asked for, and then God gave it to me in the form of a black man with this equation. So as of now, I'm able to take it's like a one-to-one correspondence. God get and then the information is equal.
Yeah,
But
right.
they're saying different things, but they all equal in my mind. And so
Hmm.
that was a pivotal thing for me because I had Goggett, but with the information, it was able to give me something. It was like God knew I needed this other thing to be able to match me and make me completely whole. And
Hmm.
that's where I am right now.
So I know you said earlier, the remnant is bigger than anything you did in the past, or basically anything bigger right now. In your perspective, what makes the remnant so big?
You know what? That's a beautiful question. Um, the reason why it makes it so big for me right now is because this is something that I'm dedicated to, and it's so huge that it makes everything so small because those other things are attached to things that I feel are small. So,
Mm,
um, I have a bachelor's degree, I have a master's degree, but those things are very small to me because my connection to the Most High on an everyday basis and my conquering on an everyday basis, I was not able to do those things with those things.
yeah.
And even though I had confidence from my accomplishments, they still had a level of emptiness to them. They still brought a level of continually wanting to seek. And
Mm.
then with the information, I stopped being a seeker. I had the truth. So
Right.
at that point, I began to, and I want to say something about language. Language is very important. Now I feel like with the information, the way it's so big, and this is why it makes it so big, is because when I hear the language of people, I'm able to decipher it, and I'm able to see ahead through my
Hmm.
deciphering. And I'm not speaking nothing that no remnant person doesn't understand. You
Right.
understand because you got this language. We can speak all the languages. We can
Yeah.
speak the indoctrinated language and not speak it, understand it. And we can
Yeah.
speak this remnant language. So
Mm.
language is very important in giving me a bigness, and being able to see the world in a completely new, different way, just based on language. Because language shows your perspective. It shows where you're coming from, what you know, the limitations of what you know. So that language and the manifestations of
Hmm.
the Holy Spirit, because I live my life through God the Source, Yahweh Shah the Word, and then the Holy Ghost and the manifestations. And the manifestations, when I see those manifestations, then I'm like, this is something huge.
Yeah.
This is bigger than everything else.
Hmm. Yeah. And I love information too, especially when it's given from an individual and then their life can back it up. I always think about what Jesus said, man, don't listen to basically what I say, man. Judge me off my works. The works got to be
Listen,
big enough for you got to match.
listen, Elijah. Listen, Elijah. If you go 10 miles left, if I come out this building and go 10 miles right, we're going to see a cross somewhere. That
Yeah.
cross representing Jesus Christ, Yahushua. But what
Hmm.
was Yahushua? He was basically a teacher. We know he's the word, but I'm saying he was
Yeah.
basically a teacher. And so I want to give praise right now in this because I pray I put him in my prayer. I call him Professor Andre Gorgeous Strait Taylor,
Hmm.
because when the teacher comes, the student can be seeking, but when that master teacher comes, it makes all the difference in the world. And so I feel so blessed to have this teacher, to have this great, great teacher. Because although in my own mind, in my own self, as you should be, I feel like I'm a king in the
Yeah.
this and the that too. But I don't mind having this teacher who is just endowed and
Yeah.
blessed with such greatness that, and the beautiful thing is it's everlasting.
Hmm.
It's refreshing and new all the time. And so when you're blessed with this teacher is pointing to something, because a lot of people don't get how we praise this guy or how we follow this guy, because he's pointing to something else, and it's that something else that we're all moving towards. And so to be able to be blessed with his presence is a magnificent thing. So um we're here because of his the clarification that comes through him, because I'm clouded. I'll speak for myself, sorry. I'm clouded by the
Hmm.
indoctrination and what I grew up with, and I'm clouded in it. I'm confused, you know. And then when I get clarity, then I feel so much bigger and so much more greater, and I know where that clarity came
Yeah.
from and what it pointed to. So I just want us to give a big shout out to Andre Gorgeous Strait Taylor, um, because he is a very special figure. I knew him. I mean, I knew of him since the original uh, American Pimp. I was there to see it
Hmm.
on video and the movies, the whole nine. So I fell in love with Gorgeous Drake. I didn't
Right.
know Andre Taylor. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? But now I come to fall in love with Andre Taylor, the man, the real man, and this man who is up here because of what he's pointing to, which is this information. And so it's just an amazing
Too, you said the
experience.
information, basically gives you the well, through the remnant, you see everything as conquering, right? And everybody else thinking they're doing some type of conquering in their life through different indoctrinations. So what do you think from your perspective, what makes the remnant What gives you that ability to want to conquer? What are you conquering in your life first? What does that
Okay.
fight look like?
Okay, so my fight looks like completely taking it towards the enemy and
Hmm.
his system. It's not directed towards anything else because with the remnant we have a lot of love. The reason why
Right,
I have this amount of love is because my energy is not directed towards any remnant member.
right.
And that could be in different other places, in fraternities and different other things outside of this information, which is spiritual. The
Hmm.
spiritual aspect of it allows me to conquer with this word. See, that's the
Mm,
difference of how I'm conquering and what I'm conquering. I'm conquering situations and circumstances. These
mm.
situations and circumstances, which are tests of my salting, that's what I'm conquering. And I'm looking like I'm going through a situation right now, a huge situation. I'm talking devastation. But
Hmm.
I'm able to look at it like when you asked me, when you called me, you said, how you doing? I said ups and downs, and I was saying they look the same because just a couple of months ago I was, and now I'm, but they all the same to me because I have
Right,
the same
right.
response.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like
Powerful.
I'm given the same response, but the changes was my feelings. And what I noticed while going through it, I was reflecting on it and I said, okay, what's the difference here? And I said, you know what I noticed is that because of the feeling that I'm feeling, my thinking is paralyzed. My
Hmm.
thinking ability is paralyzed because of the feeling, the awesome feeling of pain that I'm feeling, that and torment that I'm feeling because of this situation. But because I've been in the classrooms and I've applied the information before and I have experience with it and I've conquered before and I've had the manifestation before, I know to have a good attitude while I'm going through it. I know
Right.
to be while I'm going through it. It don't matter. It doesn't mean that I can live off the past. This thing is current and it still feels what it feels. And I'm still, like I say, like confused, in my mind. But because I have the information, I'm able to elevate over it. So
Yeah,
even
yeah.
though my thinking is paralyzed, the information soars me up because it's spiritual. So
Mm.
that's spiritual. And when I go to the Most High, when I cry out to Him, because that's important. When I read in the scriptures and I see our people in the Apocrypha or in the books, in our history book, I see they say, cry out. Right at the moment when they look at
Yeah.
the enemy, they got 10,000, they got 300,000, they start to cry out. So I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, I'm going to cry out. I
Hmm.
need help now. I need
Yeah.
help now. And it comes in the ways that I wouldn't expect it to come because the Spirit and the Holy, it's very creative. It's very creative. It will create a path. It'll create a way. And it'll create a way where it can give me that relief while in the situation. And that's very
Hmm.
important to be able to utilize the information while in the situation is very important and empowering.
Man, so we also got to take it back too, man, because you gave Dre a shout out. What gravitated you towards him? What made you be like, that's the guy right there?
His his ability to say things that nobody else is saying,
Hmm.
you know, um, and to give new information and his new information giving new insight. That's always been powerful to me because I'm a very creative person, an innovative person. I want to be on the cutting edge. I want to be number one.
Hmm.
I want to be top. I want to be champion. I want to be successful. I want to be
Right.
there,
Hmm.
just like the Most High is successful. And he not only exhibited that out his mouth, he looked the part, and then he has things that shows that he's that part and his consistency all the way. And his ability to so that's what gravitated me towards him at first. And then his ability to be able to reinvent himself in a new light.
Hmm.
Um, at all times is very appealing to someone like me who is looking at him not as I'm under him. I'm looking at him as someone to emulate. You know, he has qualities that you want to emulate. You
Right.
know, and that's very appealing. You know, the manhood. You know, you speak on manhood and the way that he's able to break down the mysteries of manhood is very, very key and different than guys who may be in the lifestyle or who may not be in the lifestyle, but who exhibit manhood. But he has something different in his approach and his way to it. It's multi-dimensional and it's just clear and it's just provocative and it's the truth. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I love you got to the manhood topic, man, because this is probably one of the biggest thing, the biggest misconceptions on the planet right now. You know what I mean? So just want to ask side man, so the man before the information and then the man once received the information, what is that difference? Why should an individual be like, well, man, I've been taking care of my family all my life, man. You know what I'm saying? I got a good job. I'm educated. I'm this, man. You know, I'm living large. What? I've been this all my life, but they don't have the information. What is it about the information that's gonna be like, hold on, man, but you missing this stuff?
Yeah. You know, for me, I would say because see, what as a man without the information, there are certain things in your life that for me that I'm elevating over. See, to be a man, you got to have a certain thing that you would never ever ever um compromise on.
Hmm.
Now, without the information, as long as I get this, even if I have this, if I can get this right here, then I'll do that to
Yeah.
get this, even though it will compromise this. That's before
Mm.
the information. Now, after the information, I got this right here. And if I got to do this to compromise this, bump that.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay right here.
Powerful.
Now, I'm going to stay right here in front of the woman's face, in front of my children's face, in front of the world's face. I'm going to stay right here till I die. See,
Hmm.
after the information. I'm willing to die for this, and I
Hmm.
mean it, and I feel good about
That was good because the compromising man, they don't understand it. It's a compromise in warfare right now. You know, Satan
Oh
is
yeah.
is at all of us because he want all of us, to, especially with this information. He wants you to compromise. So any
Oh
last
yeah.
words for the people, man? You know that even today they might woke up, man. They got the weight of the world. They like, man, come on, man. If I just had what's the word I gonna give them, man?
I'm gonna tell you like this. I don't got nothing for you. That's what I'm gonna tell you. Why don't I got nothing
Mm,
for you? Because we only here for the remnant. And what that means is if you are seeking, see, when you're outside of the remnant, you're seeking. That's who we're
mm-hmm.
looking for. That's who's remnant. Now, once you get in the remnant, there's no more seeking. So there are others who are not seeking. And they
Right.
may be listening here. We not for
Mm-hmm.
you. So that's why I say
Mm-hmm.
I don't have nothing for you. I'm not trying to convince you because right now I'm in Beverly Hills right now. You got people around here. They not going flagging down nobody saying, we got these big homes over here. You guys want to come? They don't got nothing for you because
Mm,
they living a great life already. And see,
right.
with this information, I'm living a great life. Go on,
Mm-hmm.
live the way you living. Go do what you doing. We already know how that is. So I'm not trying to convince you. I just know how beautiful it is over here. I can only just say how great it is over here, how
Mm-hmm.
empowering it is over here, and how I feel so great that I get to crush my enemy at all times. I feel so great that I finally got something that I can put the nail in this coffin. And I feel so proud to have something uh so ancient in my hands right now. This thing
Mm,
is thousands and thousands of years and is really royal and it's
right.
coming to my life. I'm proud of this. I'm great of this. Now, well, in all these soft-spoken interviews with Elijah here, but taking time out of his life to bring you these information and then you don't get nothing out of it, we love you. Going about doing your thing. We're going to be over here manifesting and moving upwards. So That's the only thing I have to say for all of you, who are looking and trying to get into this information. All you can do is look at our lifestyles and who we are, which you can't really see because we
Hmm.
are taught that our words must match our life and our life must match our words. We don't have no time trying to convince you. All I can bring you is my resume. So just keep
Right.
watching. You got to keep watching this remnant and see do they got the receipts. And if they
Hmm.
got the receipts, you better take your first mind and make the logical choice based on those receipts, not based on what we say, based on how we're conquering in the world. Because we gonna conquer in this world. And
Hmm.
that's what you make your decision on.
That's powerful, man. Man, we doing part twos for everybody. Brother Sai,
Blessings.
man, you done blessed me today, man. I'm like, just that refresh
Blessings.
and just that iron sharpen iron. The way you went into them questions, man, and you was really detailed with it too. This is why I had to get my brother Sai on here, man. I'm like, I know my brother Sai, he gonna pop out on the man. So yeah,
Thank you,
brother, I
Elijah.
appreciate you,
Blessings.
man. Thank you for giving us your time out your day to sit down and talk to us. Man, I'm excited, man. You didn't empower me today with that.
Blessings. And I want to say thank you for having me, and I can't wait to be back.
Oh yes, sir. We're gonna holler at you, man.
For
All right,
sure.
well, I love you, bro.
Love you too.